Hello, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Return from Beagle Point. We are continuing on our way back to the bubble, having returned from the aforementioned Beagle Point. We are currently a little bit past Sagittarius A-star on our way back. We went all the way out here to Beagle Point, and we're currently on our way back to home base over here. So let's go ahead and get off the ground and get started. Our topic for today is going to be forging your own path. But yeah, like I said, I always like to make sure I welcome in the new viewers. The purpose of our journey has been to increase our exobiology rank to the elite status, as well as hopefully make enough money to purchase a fleet carrier. Hey, we got it lucky this time, and we're going to be able to just go ahead and do our jump immediately without having to do any kind of orbital stuff, so that's great. Ideally, we're going to get the fleet carrier and be able to go out into the black with all of our ships and do all of that kind of stuff, you know, be able to do mining and exploring and, you know, obviously there won't be any combat or anything, but, you know, just try to do different various kinds of things with the various ships that we have, and ideally maybe even bring some people along for the ride if anybody wants to hang out on the carrier with us. So that's kind of the vague thought process that I have. We still have a long way to go, but still a fair ways to go to get this done. But I'm really looking forward to getting back to the bubble, purchasing the fleet carrier, getting it all fitted out and set up and everything, and then we can kind of decide what we're going to do with the series after that. But like I said, well, hold on. What was the... wasn't paying attention how many bodies there were in the system, so let's check that out. 12. None of them are high metal content, but I don't necessarily discount rocky worlds, so let's just see if there are any easy to spot ones. That's an icy body. We're just gonna go ahead and get moving. So like I said, today's episode is all about forging your own path, which is kind of an important thing to talk about because I think most of us are kind of raised to follow the crowd, if you know what I mean. Our parents have this idea of what success is, and typically that success is whatever worked for their generation, and they want us to grow up and take routes to success that they think are the safest routes or the most likely routes or whatever. And so we're conditioned from the start to kind of do what everyone else is doing because we've seen how that can result in success, and it seems like the right thing to do. It seems like the most likely way of getting to whatever society at the time decides success is. It's one of those things where it's just more comfortable to blend in. It's much easier to do what everyone else is doing almost all of the time because you don't have to worry about being ridiculed or having anything, you know, being thrown your way as, you know, being this negative thing that you don't want to do. Hold on, I'm trying to focus on seeing if maybe we can get lucky. Nope, that was the only one. So moving on to the next system. I think we can intuitively understand that, you know, not standing out in a crowd or not standing out is generally the easiest way to kind of go through your life because you don't have anybody staring at you and paying attention to you. And, you know, while most of us have this dream of maybe being famous or having, you know, special attention being thrust upon us, I think most people are also afraid of that because you don't want certain parts of yourself being exposed and being out there. So for the most part, especially if you're in a situation that has any kind of, you know, social risk or even physical risk associated with it, most of us are trying to blend in. Most of us are trying to keep our heads down, to stay out of the public light, trying to find ways to, you know, be as successful as we can without drawing unwanted attention. And you know, it's kind of hard to avoid unwanted attention because you don't know what kind of attention you're going to get. You do things, and maybe the things that you do stand out, but they stand out in a way they might stand out in a way that you might not want. So it's definitely very comfortable for us to want to blend in with the crowd, and we kind of go out of our way to seek validation from others when we do that, because if other people are approving of what we're doing, and it makes us kind of feel like we are doing the right thing because other people are approving of it, and it kind of ticks off that mental checkbox that we have of trying to, you know, blend in and, you know, feel like we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. There is, I think, even the most maverick of people want to have that sense of belonging and want to have that sense of, yeah, I'm doing the right thing. Even if what they're doing isn't normal, if other people are saying it's good, then, you know, for the most part, it makes us feel like we're doing the right thing. Now, the problem with all of that is that, you know, there's no guarantee that anything that we do is going to work out. You may avoid risks. You may avoid certain types of risk by doing whatever's popular at the time. But the reality is that there is no situation in which you're going to have even a modest guarantee of things working out for you. We've been lucky enough to live in a period of history where things have been relatively stable, and making certain decisions has had a relatively high chance of getting you the kinds of things you want out of your life. That's not the norm. For most of history, people have had to, if you wanted to have any kind of, you know, success outside, if you wanted to have any kind of success that is more than just abject poverty, you had to take some kind of crazy risk to get to that. For most of human history, we've been, you know, toiling in fields and stuff like that. It's only relatively recently that, you know, things like cities and stuff have become a thing. Like major cities have become where most people live, and farming hasn't been the primary thing that we do. So, you know, we've been lucky enough in the last 100 years or so to live in a time where, you know, we can have a relatively high standard of living without having to make crazy amounts of money. And that's been something that's really nice, but you know, especially now that we're moving into this period of artificial intelligence and everything's going to be kind of flipped on its head, it's kind of hard to know what the future is going to bring. And we're kind of getting back out of that period where, you know, you have a relatively high chance of being successful by just doing what everyone else is doing. We're getting back into a point in history, or into a point of, you know, society and technology and things like that, where doing what everyone else is doing might leave you poor and destitute because, you know, everything's changing. So we're in a place where, you know, following the advice of people, even, you know, especially me, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, following the advice of people isn't necessarily going to get you what you want out of your life, and it might not even get you, you know, a life at all. If you could end up following the advice of people, and it puts you in a place where you can't make it anymore, and you're homeless on the street, or you're starving, or whatever. So I'm what I'm trying to kind of get to is that you have to be ready to, you know, take the advice of others and then put it in its proper place, given where you are in your life and kind of where you want to be in your life. And that's something that's really hard to do because it's inherently hard to know you can't know what's gonna happen. Nobody has a crystal ball that says that this is what's going to happen and you need to do this, 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 and this, and then this is how you're going to make it. There are things that people can tell you that might give you a higher chance of getting to that, but in the end, even the people giving you advice, even people with years and years and years of experience and whatever it is that they're doing, can't give you any kind of a guarantee that what they're saying is actually real and is going to happen. You know, obviously, having a roadmap makes you more likely to make it, but even then, there's plenty of people who followed successful roadmaps and weren't able to make it work. Preparation and opportunity and just a little bit of luck is a really massive component in making any kind of success at all, much less the kind of success that most of us dream of. So you have to kind of be wary of the advice being given by people. Even well-meaning advice can sometimes be the wrong thing if it's not applicable to you. Like the advice that people give is almost always based off of their own circumstances, and just because it worked for them, it only worked for them because their circumstances were right and the kind of person that they are made that method of getting things done work for them. And there's so many different variables that go into, you know, making something work that you can't map yourself after somebody else. You can take what works for you and leave the rest. And that's kind of an important part of, you know, figuring out how to live your life. You got to filter out the crap. not everybody is going to get something out of being super rich. You know what I mean? Like that's like a basic level filter that you can put on your life. Are you really the kind of person who cares about money? Are you really the kind of person who, you know, is going to gain any kind of real happiness out of a mansion or expensive cars or flashiness? Or is it the attention that you seek? Are you looking for people to validate you? Are you looking to be popular? Are you looking to be are you looking at for people to look at you as a person of substance? Well, money isn't really going to give you that. It's going to get people coming after you, yeah, but they're going to be coming after you trying to get your money, not you. There's a lot better ways to figure out, you know, living the kind of life that's going to make you feel some kind of sense of satisfaction without, you know, needing money to do that. It could be, you know, participating in your community in a way that makes, you know, people look at you with respect. That doesn't need any money to do that. So, you know, being willing to, you know, filter out some of the things that society has told us is important and society has decided is the definition of success is a really big part of, you know, forging your own path, of figuring out what kind of life you want to lead, not just living the kind of life that society or your family or, you know, the people in your life have determined are the metrics of success, because that's just not a thing. You have to decide for yourself. There's plenty of people who made plenty of money and they're completely miserable. They live lives of wishing they didn't have the responsibilities that they have. They wish that they had the freedom to do what they want. They thought money was going to give them that freedom, but then they end up trapped in whatever situation they're in because they realize that if they don't keep doing whatever it is that they've been doing, they're not going to have the money anymore, because money is highly specific. You can make so much money in the world, but the reality is that for the vast majority of people, you're never going to be in a situation where you have enough money where you can just stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. The hyper wealthy, maybe, but even then, to get hyper wealthy, you have to be the kind of obsessive person that's going to just work your whole life anyway. Most people don't make that kind of money unless they're hyper obsessive and super driven to be as successful as they possibly can be, and that's just what makes them happy. The reason they have the kind of money that they have is because they are the kind of person that pushes themselves and thrives on, you know, achievement, and with achievement almost always comes money. So money or wealth or whatever you want, whatever you're looking for. So you got to be ready to filter out the things in life that, you know, sound tempting because society has made it so, but isn't really going to be something that's fulfilling for you because you're just not that kind of a person. You may have convinced yourself that you are, but a lot of people aren't really going to be satisfied with money. Once you get past the point where you're not in poverty anymore, you're not struggling for your next meal, you have a place to live, you have food to eat, you have reliable transportation to get to and from work or whatever it is that you're trying to do, any money after that is just nice to have. It's not something that's going to make you happier unless the things that you really truly value require money to get it. And even then, it's not the money that's making you happy. It's whatever it is that you're doing with your life that makes you happy. So that's kind of an important distinction to have. And the main message I'm trying to get to with all of this is that we all as a species have been conditioned to care about the opinions of others. And the reality is that our happiness is not, while we need interaction with other people, our happiness is not tied to the opinions of other people. And we need to be really ready to, ignore the critics that are out there. Avoid dealing with people who try to tell you that whatever it is that you want out of your life isn't worth it. There's a lot of dreams in the world that have been killed by parents or friends or other relatives or whatever that, you know, don't believe in your idea, and they actively go out of their way to, you know, tear down your dream because they think it's stupid. And at some point you got to be ready to tell them, you know what, you can think what you want, but this is my life and I want to live my life the way I want to live my life, and I don't care what you think about it. I'm going to go for what I want. And most of us don't have the courage to do that. Most of us allow ourselves to be pressured into living lives based off of what other people think our lives should be, and it becomes impossible to go after the things that we want because We have to abandon the opinion. We have to abandon the acceptance of other people and be ready to ignore them and go off and do our thing, regardless of whether or not they think it's going to work out. And that's an extremely hard thing to do. It's impossible for most people to do, because we're so conditioned by, evolution and society and all of these things to seek out the validation of others, and it's very hard to do that. So one of the important things that you have to do if you want to be able to try to go after a life that has some kind of meaning for you is figure out ways of creating barriers between you and the haters in your life. And that's hard. That's a hard thing to do, because, like I've been saying this entire discussion, we're conditioned to seek the acceptance of others, and going out of our way to try to put up barriers between us and the people around us, not something that's natural to do. And even if you're trying to do that, I think most people who tell you that you shouldn't look at like YouTube comments if you're like a content creator like me or something like that, there's a reason they tell you not to do that, and it's because no matter how much you can think up here that you shouldn't care about what people think and what they say, and you just need to ignore them, that's not always easy to do. Complete strangers can have a very large effect on your ability to, be happy with what you're doing, because we have this deep biological response to attacks from other people, be they physical or emotional or verbal or whatever it is. You can't help it. It's an instinctive response against whoever it is that is, saying these things to you or doing these things to you. And you have to figure out ways to insulate yourself from that if you want to have any chance of actually finding success, because that's just the way that it works. Unfortunately, most of the time, the pathway to success is they try to tell you that, we do well together, and yeah, in many circumstances you can, but finding your own happiness is something you have to figure out for yourself. You have your life, and you have to figure out the way that you want to live it. You have to learn that you have to do you, and no one else can figure out what your life is supposed to be other than you. And that's just kind of the sad truth of the way that all of this works. You have to be willing to tell everybody else, I respect you and I care about you, but I want to do this, and this is what I'm doing. And that's really hard to do. It's really hard to do, because the sad truth is that a lot of people in your life, when you tell them that, they're going to either try to tear you down, or they might break off relationships with you, or whatever it is, because they think that you're out of your mind or whatever. They think that you're just throwing your life away. Oh, I'm not going to sit around and watch while you do this. Like, whatever. If you're very lucky, life circumstances will force you into doing your own thing. I keep saying this. I don't really want to jinx myself by saying it, but like I've said many times, I never thought that YouTube was even something I would even try to pursue, and I'm still not sure. I'm a very, very small channel at this point, depending on when you're watching this video. The jury, I was trying to think of the proper saying. The jury is still out on whether this is actually going to be a thing for me. We'll see how it goes, but me being on YouTube right now, doing these videos, is not something I planned on doing. It's just kind of something I ended up falling into because I had to do something. I have to try to do something. And, it's working out a little better than I thought, and who knows how far it'll go. I said that in the last episode. But, if you're very lucky, circumstances will conspire to force you into forging your own path, because the standard options won't be available. You may end up having to do something different, because the way that you were taught, or the way that you traditionally do things, or whatever, it just becomes unavailable for whatever reason. I think that's probably an easier way of doing it than choosing to go on your own way. You have to have a lot of courage to step away from something that seems secure to go after something that is most definitely not secure, but may provide you with the kind of future that you want. That requires a lot of courage. So I'm providing this advice to you from the standpoint of, I didn't have the courage to do it. I spent my life doing what was safe, and I only stepped into something different because all of my safe options have run out. I don't, and if another safe option comes up and I feel convinced that this isn't going to work out, it's likely that I'm probably going to jump back into whatever it is that feels safe to me at the time. Because, you know, not everybody has that pioneering spirit. Sometimes you're forced into it, and, you know, it'd be great if that ends up being what this is. I'm forced into something and it works out, and, you know, 10 years from now, I'm still making videos and making a decent living at it. But there's no way for me to know, and I like feeling secure. I like feeling like things are the way I want them to be. And even though my brain, the logical part of me knows that there is no security in any of the things that I've done so far, it's really hard to break away from that from seeking that sense of security in your life. So one of the big things that I try to tell people is that a concept can be right, but the person giving it to you may not be able to do it themselves. And you have to take in concepts and you have to take in ideas for yourself and analyze them for yourself. And even if the person giving you the information is a hypocrite or whatever it is, the person delivering it should not be your barometer as to whether something holds true or not. The idea can be true and still be told by somebody who doesn't do it or who's lying about it or whatever. Truth is truth, and what is what is, and whoever it is that's providing you the information doesn't really matter. What matters is, does it hold true for you? And that's something, again, is something only you can figure out. We're getting to the point in the episode where I really need to start finding a place to land. How many little jumps do we have left? 273? Yeah, we still have several weeks of travel. And unfortunately, we haven't gotten very lucky with our biology this episode. Hopefully, in the next jump or two, we'll be able to find something. I've more or less covered the topic that I want to talk about, so at this point, we're just trying to find something interesting to do in the game. See if maybe we can get lucky, and this one will have some biology that we can go scan. Well, with 18, I think with 18, we definitely need to go land. So if there's a landable planet here, we'll do that. Let's just let's roll the dice and see if maybe there'll be some kind of biology here. So we'll do a full-on scan of the system, I think, just to see if maybe we get lucky and there is some biology on any of this stuff. Focus on that. Unfortunately, not getting the warm and fuzzy that we're actually going to find anything here. That's all right. As long as there's a landable planet, that's good enough for now, because we need to get on the ground. And again, as I've said, I always say this every time I mention it, for new players, you don't have to land. There's no reason that you have to land. I just personally like to end my sessions landed on a planet for role-playing purposes. That takes care of all of our asteroids there. No biological feature on that one. Come on, give us what we want. Give us something to scan. I'm getting a bad feeling that it's not going to happen. Oh, wow, okay, 7. I can live with that. Okay, we get this guy and then this guy. 1 for that one, but dang, 7. Not even that far away either. That's very nice. So we'll hurry up and get over here, and then I think we might go ahead and save the scanning for next episode, because 7 biological sources is going to take us more than 6 minutes. So yeah. So while I typically don't like to exit in space, I want you guys to come back for the next episode. So I think we're going to go ahead and leave it a cliffhanger here so that we'll scan the next time, and then find out what's on the planet. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode. Be sure to click the like button if you did, so that the YouTube algorithm will know and send the video out to as many people as possible. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so now, so that when the next video comes out, it'll show up in your feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click the join button, check out the list of options available there, and decide if any of those are right for you. If you're not interested in a membership but would like to support the channel, you can always leave YouTube's version of a tip with that thanks button. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and a critical component to helping to turn this channel into a full-time gig, which is the dream. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the flight. Be sure to come back for the next one, and I'll see you then.